quick. Hey everyone, I'm the shy one. So, something you forgot to mention.
What?
So, Tim Gordon of Sonic Youth said when you go see a band, you're paying to see 4 people believe in themselves.
Yeah.
So if you want to see us believe in ourselves some more, go to our Facebook page. You can see we're playing. We play a lot here at the Levitt Theater and up and down the coast. We're the Dirt Boys.
Awesome job, dude.
I played in bands on and off since I was a teenager in central Maine. I lived in North Carolina for 15 years. While there, I was in a cover band with some friends, playing classic rock and modern country, stuff like Chicken Fried. We played a yearly Halloween party and some weddings, but it wasn't a year-round commitment. I moved home to Maine 10 years ago. After a couple of years here, I found that the only thing I really missed about Carolina, besides my friends, was the camaraderie and fun of playing in a band, so I started looking at Craigslist ads. I came across an ad for a group making original music near me. The ad stated that they played music in the vein of the Stooges, the Raconteurs, the Stones, and Sonic Youth. That piqued my interest, so I replied. The singer sent me a Google Drive link of demo songs, and I was blown away by the depth and quality of them. And there were dozens. I felt like I'd stumbled upon the Robert Pollard of Southern Maine. I learned some of the songs and went to the tryout. It was really fun and easy from the start. It was the hang I was looking for. Since then, we've played original music in clubs, theaters, restaurants, festivals, bowling alleys, small airports, hardware stores, and probably some other places I'm forgetting. This video is about the benefits of creating art with others, as well as some of the downsides, and at the end we'll discuss some tips on being a good bandmate. The first benefit is the improvement you will make in your ability to perform. This is different from your ability to play. Sitting at home and playing along with recordings is great, but performing in rehearsals builds stamina and consistency that isn't necessary when you're just sitting on the couch. You're also just going to get smarter about the equipment that actually works on stage and in the context of a band. While at home you have the luxury of space, security, and time to set up. You can have a variety of amps, pedals, and guitars. But carrying equipment into venues with your hazards flashing in the street, or given 10 minutes to set up on a stage during a festival changeover, the gear you carry out the door will differ from the ideal you may have had in your head. Your setup may have to make some sacrifices in the name of feasibility. The second benefit is the way you're playing and thinking about music will improve. In the past, I had purchased lesson books and videos that I worked my way through, and I did find them beneficial. But my musicality really took off once I joined this group. I think that there are a couple reasons for this. The first is that you are going to be thinking about creating parts instead of noodling, or at least your noodling will have set direction and boundaries as you are trying to meet a goal to complete ideas. The second is that you will often be coming up with contributions towards a song that may not have been written by you, but put forward by one of your bandmates. This will require you to consider things in a way you may not have before as new ideas are introduced. The previous two benefits are driven by the third benefit of your membership in an original band, and that is accountability. If this is a committed endeavor, then you're going to meet regularly. And when you meet, you need to be prepared. If you are a good bandmate, this will drive you to spend time practicing and making sure that you are a positive contributor to the effort. And that's good. We've all experienced having the desire to do certain things in our lives but falling short because of interferences and distractions in our everyday life. It's why people join group workouts. That accountability to others helps us with our discipline, which leads us to our goals. There have been some Thursdays, if I've had a long day, where sometimes I don't feel like packing up my stuff and heading to rehearsal, but I always go. And I'm always happy that I went. The fourth benefit may be fairly obvious, but it's fellowship. I always had fun in my past cover bands, but adding the common goal of creating our own music adds another layer. I've been in this band for 8 years. The rest of the guys have been together for 10. We're good about meeting about once a week and rehearse for at least 3 hours each time. And these sessions for me are a real break from the world each week. I set my phone down at the outset and don't pick it up again until we leave. I don't check the news and I don't look at email. It does wonders for my stress levels and my quality of life. These guys are my brothers. Hundreds of hours of rehearsals and setups and loadouts and jokes and fights, reconciliation and just messing about. These relationships have added richness to my life and I'm glad I answered that ad. Benefit 5 is that you will get better and better at songwriting. A few years ago, I took a songwriting class at School of Song with Robin Pecknold of the Fleet Foxes. It was tremendous and I learned so much. In one of his lessons, he introduced an idea. He told us, "We are going to create quality through quantity." And what he meant was that we were going to make it a habit to work on our craft. We would not wait for the muse to visit us. We would constantly invite her in by working consistently and coming up with idea after idea. Being in a band with Steve Chumsey has been an apprenticeship for me. I had tried to write songs in the past, but I would get hung up on one idea for the longest time. And being in a band with Steve, I could see Pecknold's idea in action. He's constantly coming up with ideas. He comes into band practice and he has just a bunch of notes on his phone or riffs to show us or just different chords. And he's constantly coming up with them, and seeing him work through this process, it was really freeing for me. Another thing is I had always thought really diatonically. I was always thinking in terms of what key am I in? And Steve does a lot of modulation, borrowing chords from other keys, and the movement is actually really exciting, and it really enhances songs. And it's something I had been aware of on the peripheral, but this really came into view when I started learning his songs. So for myself now, I try to work through at least one idea fully each week, and this is a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Benefit 6 is that it is really fun to introduce an idea to a band and have everyone just run with it. Calling this section Creating Art Collaboratively is a jam. This footage here is from a Guided by Voices rehearsal where Robert Pollard is teaching the band a song called Jar of Cardinals. I have the link below. I love this video. It captures everything I love about collaborating with friends on a song. He runs through it with the group, making suggestions at different parts and backing vocals, and then he just lets the band rip through it. And they kind of nail it the first time, using visual cues and just by watching each other. This is such a fun process. Steve comes to us with new songs all the time, and it's such a thrill every time to work through a rough draft and then hone it into a completed work. I remember when he introduced the song, We're Going to Write Our Names on Each Other. And as he was showing it to us, I got so excited because it was really catchy and clever, and I could just tell I was going to really love this song. And then, as we all started contributing, we came up with some really fun harmonies that are among my favorite things I've participated in musically.
'Cause I just wanna lay with you in the warm sunshine and maybe burn up a blanket or two. Yeah, bad luck aside, I've been waiting for this moment for all of my life.
This is all available on Bandcamp and all streaming services, by the way. The links, once again, are below. In this clip here, we're working on a new song of Steve's that has the working title of Chicken Cacciatore. We're coming to consensus on the push and pull of the song, and you see here I give a signal to Dave, our drummer, that it's time to kick it up. And when I introduce a song of my own, it's such a great feeling when the band is excited about it.
What's he killing it?
With that,
What's that?
that's fucking bad. That's point time.
It just feels like one of those things where they show it.
And when you introduce a song of your own, you do have ideas in your head about how they should go, but you learn that the magic comes in when everybody starts pitching in. I came to the group recently with a song I had it all pretty well sketched out with lyrics done and everything, drums and everything. The original outro was really just a repeat of the opening chords. But after listening to the lyrics, Steve challenged me to come up with a new outro that had the same uplift as the ending lyrics. It It wasn't something I had planned on, but what we came up with, it really elevated the song. All right, the final benefit is that you're going to have a blast joining your heroes. By joining your heroes, I don't mean that you will stand on stage at Glastonbury in tears as the crowd shouts back your lyrics about love and embracing strangers. That's Idols performing Danny Nedelko, by the way, and the whole thing is just gorgeous. The link is below. What I mean is that eventually, once you have created enough quality songs, you may not want them to disappear when the air around you stops vibrating. You and your group may have a desire to capture your efforts for posterity. And you may be lucky enough to go into a studio, but that can be expensive. Luckily, with the ubiquity and affordability of home recording equipment and helpful tutorials online and trial and error, you can record and release your own records. You can even have them pressed in vinyl or burned to a CD for a fee. In our case, I built a small studio in my garage. We started in an open space with minimal equipment, but over the years and 3 records, I added better microphones, preamps, sound treatment, and headphone mixers, which was a real game changer. But more importantly, with each effort, we got better at the technical skills needed for making records. And I really hope it shows. I feel each of our releases was better than the last, and they each have their charms. But the process is so fun, I love it so much. And there are little victories along the way, like when someone nails their part, or you sing gang vocals,
Girl, I wanna make you mine.
or you have a guest saxophone player, or you hear a cool guitar idea coming back through the speakers.
Sounded pretty cool, huh?
And when I'm talking about joining your heroes, is at the end of the process, if you put your stuff on streaming, you can go to the search bar in Apple Music and search for T-Rex. And then you can search for your own band, and both of them come up. And if you put forth something you are proud of, it's great to play something you love back to back with one of your heroes. And I have no illusions about wild success as a musician, playing festivals or getting featured on whatever the modern equivalent of Rolling Stone is. But I do have all our releases pressed to CD. And the reason I do this is so I can put them on my CD shelf, where they sit between Daft Punk and Brian Eno. And that's me joining my heroes. I've contributed to the pile with the help of my friends. Okay, so there are some downsides, and let's talk about some of them here. When you are in a cover band, all of music history is yours to choose from to learn and play for crowds. This means that if you have some talented players in your group, you can choose 20 songs and start playing out after a few rehearsals. It takes more time to come up with enough to play a full set when you have to come up with it all yourself. To bridge the gap, you can always supplement your shows with a tasty selection of covers sprinkled in with your originals, and it doesn't have to be chicken fried. You can play songs you like. I heard an interview with Mark Spear of Krangman, where he talked about when they got started and they played songs by bands like Yellow Magic Orchestra. Over 100,000 songs are uploaded a day to streaming services, and AI services are creating even more. And right now, I think we have 8 monthly listeners on Spotify. Probably shouldn't do this for recognition or glory, because it's not likely to come. Playing live, especially in a beach town in summer in Maine, the tourists are expecting to hear covers. One show, I had a drunken woman demanding, once again, chicken fried. And I told her I didn't know it, to which she replied, "This is all bullshit." On the positive side, we've gotten pretty good at winning these crowds over by the end of the night, and that's a really good feeling, and sometimes they even buy our CDs when I remember to bring them. It's tough to find a group of people willing to commit to this, to meet every week, to go on at a club at 11 p.m. and finish at 1 a.m. and then pack up and get home at 2:30 in the morning for $100 each and some tips, and maybe some free beer, though I would do this for free. And also, you're not going to find 2 or 3 people who share your tastes completely exactly. They're going to have some stuff they're really into that maybe you're not into. You're going to be really excited about some things that maybe they don't like. And so when you add members, there's always going to be a lot of tryouts, a lot of, people rolling their gear in, playing with you, getting a feel, maybe even playing with you a few times before you decide, if they join the group or not. And that can be fraught. But when you do find the people, you get the benefits 1 through 7 we discussed above. it's hard to find people, is one on one side of the coin, and on the other side of the coin is that breaking up can be really hard because sometimes your goals and your commitments change and you have to part ways with like one of your members or even just break up the band. And when you put in a lot of time, effort, and frankly love together, it can really feel like a marriage falling apart. It can be some really hard feelings. I think when you quit, if you quit a cover band, you can join another cover band. If you're asked to leave a cover band, you can join another cover band. And if you really liked playing Born on the Bayou, you can always play it again in the next band you're in. But if, you leave a band that did original music, especially if you weren't the primary songwriter, those songs are kind of taken from you. And if the band breaks up, you're probably not going to ever play those songs again. But I like to remind myself, when I think about this, is that the Beatles were only together for 10 years, Nothing gold stays, Pony Boy. Here are some quick tips on being a good bandmate. If the band is going to meet at 7, be there at 7. If you have 10 minutes to set up on stage between acts, get it done in 10 minutes. Have reliable equipment. Answer text messages when pressing questions are asked. Learn the songs. Rehearsal is not where you relearn the songs every time you get together. You should be practicing. When you're not at rehearsal, rehearsal should not be the only time you touch your instrument. Try every musical idea every member has. Even if you think it's a bad one, you should give it a shot. You might be surprised, and if it doesn't work, every member knows that their input was respected. Be kind when a member is putting forth any effort, especially if it is outside of their comfort zone. Maybe they're trying to hit a high note, or maybe do a tricky solo passage. If you laugh at them or mock it or make them feel bad for taking a risk, they probably aren't going to take many more. Everybody needs to be pointed in the same direction. This means agreement on commitment levels as well as defining what success looks like. If one member wants to tour the East Coast and one member only wants to meet every Thursday, there's going to become a point where that becomes a real point of friction. Mez Mesro was not a very talented clarinet player, but he was in elite jazz groups his entire working life because he was a legendary dude to hang with. You can have all the talent in the world, but if you suck to be around, you aren't going to last very long. Okay, this was a long one, and I really appreciate you sticking around. I'd love to know your thoughts on any of this in the comments. If you've played in original bands, if there's anything I missed, please let me know below. And as always, I thank you for your time and attention, and I do hope to see you next week.